Yulia Navalny has vowed to continue the work of her late husband Alexei Navalny as she presses the EU to hold Russia accountable for his death.
Lufthansa employees went on strike for the second time this month, cancelling 90% of flights and affecting around 100,000 passengers.
Farmers in the Czech Republic have flooded the streets of Prague in their fight against EU environmental policies. The death toll among Palestinians in Gaza has surpassed 29,000, according to the territory's health ministry. It marks another grim milestone in a truly destructive military campaign. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue the offensive until, quote, total victory against Hamas. He has said troops will move into the southern town of Rafah, where over half of Gaza's 2.3 million people have sought refuge if the remaining Israeli hostages are not released by start of Ramadan. The Israeli military released a video showing what is believed to be two children and their mother being led through the streets of the town of Khan Yunis after their kidnapping on October the 7th. The conflict has brought nearly daily exchanges of fire between Israel and Lebanon's Hezbollah militant group, which supports Hamas. On Monday, Israeli warplanes carried out two strikes on the port city of Sidon, saying the target was a Hezbollah weapons depot.
UNICEF warns that the Gaza Strip is poised to witness an explosion in preventable child deaths. A steep rise in malnutrition among children and pregnant women poses grave threats to their health, according to a report released by Global Nutrition Cluster. Households have access to less than 1 liter of safe water per person per day. Hungry, thirsty, and weak, more Gazans are falling sick.
مفيش حاجة ناكلها اليوم ناكل دمسة عدس كنا ناكل زمان دجاج ورز اليوم كله عايش على المعلبات كنا زمان نتعشى وننام بس الحين ما نتعشاش بننام بدون عشاء اخواني يعني صاروا ضعاف قبل كانوا يعني كويسين الحين ما في شيء الحياة اتدمرت.
The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees shared aerial and ground footage showing schools in the Gaza Strip damaged by Israeli bombardments. In North Gaza, schools are unrecognizable, reduced to rubble, the agency said Monday in a statement on social media platform X. The UN aid agency says 153 installations have been attacked since the war began on October 7.
Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the front line in the Kupiansk region on Monday in a trip aimed at boosting morale. With depleted stocks of ammunition and a delay in a much-needed US aid package, the Ukrainian leader says Russia is taking advantage and amassing maximum reserves at key points on the battlefront. Ukrainian troops have recently been forced to withdraw from the town of Avdiivka, having been outnumbered by Russian forces after 4 months of assault. Russia's Ministry of Defense has released footage of its troops taking back the city. The victory is, quote, positive for Russia, said Putin, days ahead of the 2-year anniversary of the war. A Russian state broadcaster has also aired footage showing troops searching through the remains of the newly captured city for mines and booby traps. But the reality is that Avdiivka has been left in ruins. Russian troops are not thought to have any intention of lingering there. The latest reports say they are pushing on, seeking further advances in case Ukraine finally gets the ammunition supplies it needs. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny's widow, Yulia Navalny, has vowed to continue her husband's work. She has been attending talks in Brussels with European Union foreign ministers to discuss how to make Russia accountable for her husband's death. Navalny was welcomed by the EU's top diplomat, Josep Borrell, who said he knows who to blame for her husband's death.
In the middle of the meeting, we receive Yulia Navalny, and we paid tribute to the memory of Alexei Navalny, that, as you know, he was slowly murdered in a Russian jail by Putin's regime. I think these are the words. Slowly murdered in a Russian jail by Putin's regime.
Yulia Navalnaya has previously avoided the political spotlight, but in a video recorded outside Russia, she says she will take on her husband's political fight for change in Russia. Meanwhile, Navalny's mother has gone to the penal colony in the Arctic where her son collapsed and died, according to authorities. His body won't be released for a fortnight. His wife is accusing them of hiding evidence of the real cause of death, which she says is poisoning. The EU is calling for an investigation along with fresh sanctions on Russia. Navalny's death has resonated across Europe and beyond. Vigils are being held in numerous capitals. In Rome, a candlelight gathering was attended by hundreds of demonstrators expressing their anger following the death of Putin's fiercest foe. Farmers in the Czech Republic have driven their tractors to Prague to demonstrate their anger over restrictions imposed by the EU. However, their protest wasn't supported by the large agricultural unions, and the country's agriculture minister has also rejected their arguments.
Do budoucna není možný, aby náš zemědělec byl v horším postavení než ten německý, polský, lotyšský, jakýkoliv v Unii. Ta pravidla musí platit pro všechny stejně. Shodneme se na tom?
But farmers disagree.
Přijeli jsme proto, že se nám nelíbí podmínky od Evropské unie a chtěli bychom snížit tu byrokracii, méně papírování a výkupní ceny, aby byly.
My musíme být soběstační, musíme svoje potraviny mít, svoje věci a ne tahat to sem z Ukrajiny.
Nesouhlasím a bojuju proti Green Dealu, protože Green Deal zabíjí české zemědělství.
There was also a small group of people who believe in the EU policy.
No, že jsou to pomílený lidi, je to v pořádku, naprosto Evropská unie se vyrovná se vším. Tak jako se vyrovnala s tou energetickou krizí, tak s plynem, tak se vyrovná i s tímhle.
Farmers across Europe have taken to the streets this year, including in Poland, France, Germany, Spain and Italy. Hungary is preparing to ratify Sweden's accession to NATO. On social media, the leader of the ruling Fidesz parliamentary group announced that he had asked the president to include the final vote on the parliamentary agenda for next Monday. Mate Coxes said they intend to support Sweden's entry into the Atlantic Alliance. On Saturday, Prime Minister Viktor Orban already said they were on track to ratify the accession, emphasizing the, quote, important steps taken to re-establish trust.
Lufthansa employees went on strike for the second time this month. The ground staff strike began early Tuesday morning and is scheduled to last until Wednesday morning. The company canceled around 90% of flights, affecting around 100,000 passengers.
Finde ich schon okay, weil der Arbeitgeber wird nicht von sich aus kommen und mehr Geld anbieten. Also muss schon ein bisschen Druckmittel hinter sein.
Ja gut, jeder muss mal streiken, aber verstehen tue ich es nicht, dass man das so unkoordiniert macht. Und es sollen ja auch, glaube ich, morgen Verhandlungen stattfinden. Da hätte man ruhig warten können.
The strike is in response to the ongoing wage negotiations for the approximately 25,000 Lufthansa employees on the ground.
Sagen wir mal, die letzten 2-3 Jahre waren extrem für das Bodenpersonal auch herausfordernd, um es vorsichtig zu formulieren. Und von der Arbeitgeberseite kam relativ wenig. Und jetzt kam irgendwann die Entscheidung, es reicht. Die Angebote reichen den meisten nicht. Und die Solidarität zeigt sich eben mit dem Dabeisein und wir stehen dahinter.
The union is demanding a 12.5% pay raise for employees and an inflation adjustment bonus of €3,000. The wage negotiations are set to continue on Wednesday.
80 years after his execution by the Nazis, Mizak Manouchian's remains will be transferred to the French Pantheon on Wednesday. The Armenian, known as a poet and communist activist, will be the first foreigner to be buried among France's national heroes, accompanied by his wife Mélinée. Manouchian was executed at Mont Valérien Fort on the outskirts of Paris on the 21st of February 1944. His recognition by the French state is a tribute to all the foreign resistance fighters who fought against Nazi oppression.
The non-profit organization Save Stonehenge WHS lost an appeal in the High Court to stop the construction of a road tunnel near the prehistoric structure. The judge declared that the relevant policies had been considered by the British government and that the evidence presented by the activists, quote, provides no basis for contesting them. Nevertheless, one part of the appeal relating to the Ministry of Transport's position on environmental impact will be the subject of a later ruling. According to the British government, the project aims to improve traffic on the route.
About 11,000 people have participated in the opening day of Switzerland's largest carnival in Basel. At 4 a.m. on Monday, streetlights went out and colorful lanterns were lit. Many spectators followed the parade through the streets of the city. This year's themes for the carnival include artificial intelligence, the latest Barbie film, and various current political issues. The carnival in Basel tradition goes back to 1376. It has been recognized by UNESCO as a cultural heritage of the country. This year's event is set to go on till Wednesday.